And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.
The Rock knows exactly who you are.
It's time for Blumpkin and Friends, starring your host, the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another Blumpkin and Friends BWO WrestleCast. And for once, it's me just talking wrestling by myself. Reason I'm doing this WrestleCast and I couldn't wait for a guest of any sort is because it's been one of the biggest weeks in American professional wrestling history, with the season premieres of both Monday Night Raw and Friday Smackdown on Fox. It was also the first week of the Wednesday Night Wars with AEW Dynamite on TNT going head-to-head with NXT on USA. So I'm going to cover all four of those shows and some related topics. So here we go. I just want to bring up one thing. Kenny Omega made some comments that pissed some people off. One of them being Dominik Dijakovic, formerly known as Donovan Dijak in Ring of Honor. He's on the NXT brand and he's nobody. He's best remembered as being nothing more than a catchphrase these days with his "Feast Your Eyes" line, where I guess he wants people to see how ripped he is or something retarded like that. I don't know. So to address this, you got to talk about the original tweet by Kenny Omega, where he said in an interview that AEW will feature real stars, not developmental talent, when asked about the upcoming head-to-head battle with NXT TV. How dare he? Dominik Dijakovic fired back, "Hey, Kenny Omega Man X, remember when my match with @RealKeithLee embarrassed yours on your PWG homecoming weekend of BOLA 2017? Tune in this Wednesday to NXT TV on USA at 8 p.m. so two developmental guys can show a real star how it's done again." Which is a pretty fucking self-absorbed retort, I must add. And I tweeted back at Dijakovic, which got obviously no reaction because I'm nobody and he doesn't check that shit because he's too busy in the gym taking shirtless selfies and masturbating in the mirror. I made some comment about, "Hey, Dijak, why don't you come back at Omega when your matches are anything close to what he did at Wrestle Kingdom 12 or 13 or the Jericho matches or his feud with Okada? If you really want to boil down to who wins any sort of verbal scrum between Dijak and Kenny Omega has sold more t-shirts than Dijak has drawn breaths in his life. That's a fucking fact. I don't need to see any sales numbers. He's Kenny fucking Omega. I don't care what you think of him or how one match that you believe embarrassed him. You didn't. Dijak, you're a fucking catchphrase. That's all you are. Feast your eyes. It's the equivalent to Goldberg's "Who's Next?" only you're not as imposing as he is or as impressive as he is. So in reality, Dijakovic, who I've been colorfully referring to as Dijakmihoff because that's what he's probably doing in the locker room, is giving hand jobs to the real stars in hopes that he can work matches with them and get a little bit of a rub. Giggity. It's just stupid. It's not so much the Wednesday Night Wars because they're going up against each other. It's the fans and the media that have dubbed it that. And, you know, the real winner out of all this is us, the fans, because we're going to get two Dynamite shows. See what I did there? Every Wednesday when NXT and AEW go head-to-head. Which now I'm going to run through the shows of the week, which I watched almost all of them in their entireties, with the exception of SmackDown, and when I get to it, you'll fucking figure out why. Monday Night Raw. I watched start to finish. I have not done that in I don't even know how many years without fast-forwarding through most of the show. Like, I literally sat down and went, I'm going to give this a chance to see what they do on their season premiere. It was kind of worth it. I mean, the show starts off, Mysterio comes out, talking about how he's going up against Seth Rollins and he's back in the game instead of retiring because of his son Dominic, who's sitting ringside. And out comes Brock the Cumsock Lesnar with his fucking exceptionally rosy cheeks like he's having some sort of heart attack. And he demolishes Ray. And then he goes and he grabs Dominic out of the crowd. And Jesus Christ, did he manhandle that kid. It's like, hey, he's learning how to wrestle. He's not trained to take bumps outside the ring when you body slam him onto the fucking floor. It's a thin mat, dude. So hopefully you didn't hurt him. Because everybody knows that Brock works stiff. And people talk shit about how reckless he is with his opponents. Well, a bunch of F5s to Ray. And a bunch of other moves to Dominic. And then Dominic leaves in an ambulance, and Ray's crying like a bitch, who just got her first period. I guess it was a good way to start the show. It was a decent segment. And then immediately we get Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss in what was a decent match. It was highlighted by the fact that Becky Lynch brought her played-out ass onto the stage and sat at the announcer's table, and then climbed on top of the fucking announcer's table, which is only described as ridiculous. And then after the match, she ran down and she put a little bit of a beating on Sasha Banks, who then ran out in the crowd. And then Becky Lynch grabbed the mic and said a bunch of stupid shit I don't remember. Something about retribution, another thing about needing some scope to combat the scent of Seth Rollins' cum on her breath. But she said it sounding more like the Lucky Charms leprechaun. Hearts and stars and horseshoes, clovers and blue moons. Your breath smells like the Universal Champion splooge. I'm so fucking sick of Becky Lynch, it's not even funny. It's just like, go the fuck away. Go away. I'd rather see more Sasha Banks anyway. There's a chick that I totally think is hot. And is skilled in the ring. And is not fucking overhyped. So, suck on that, Becky Lynch.
You like that? You like that?
The next match, I haven't seen Robert Roode wrestle in a long fucking time. And it's nice that Heyman's giving him a push. He's got this tag team title reign going with Dolph Ziggler. Two guys that could be on their own, but they didn't have anything for them, so they stuck them together. And why not? They've done it in the past before with other people. They went up against Heavy Machinery. It didn't feel like a WWE match to me, though. I don't know why. It felt like I was watching an NXT match, and I mean that in the most complimentary of ways. And I could watch Heavy Machinery all the time. They're very entertaining. Better than whatever the Authors of Pain are. Or the Dark Order from AEW. I don't want to see that shit. I want to see entertaining and athletic tag teams. But Roode and Ziggler retained, because I doubt they're going to change the titles that fast on those guys when they put them together for the purpose of giving them a push. So I think from the very second that you found out who their opponent was, there was no fucking doubt in anybody's mind who was going over in that match. Which then took us to a Miz TV segment that I fast-forwarded through, because I don't want to sit there and listen to that shit. Yeah. Flair was there, Hogan was there. Woo! Something about teams. Rollins and Orton are captains. Orton's like, hey, you don't have a partner tonight now that Ray's gone. How about we have a match right here, right now? And they did, kind of. Corbin came down and helped Orton. It wasn't really a match. And then Rusev came down and helped Rollins. And then next thing you know, we got Rusev talking about wanting to fight Rollins for the title. So that was the match we did get, because Ray was not in the house to actually have the match. All I gotta say is that Baron Corbin is an ass clown, and he bores the shit out of me. I really wish we didn't have him on television. He's like, I don't know, a fancier version of Gene Snitsky with a douchier gimmick. He's just like filler on the main event card. And we don't need, there's more deserving guys. Like, I would rather watch Rusev 9 days out of the week than I would ever want to watch one match with Baron Corbin, who's going by King Corbin, and all he really is the king of the cockbags, because he looks stupid, and it's the same old, I'm better than everybody. Like, could you come up with something fucking original? There's nobody in the back in the writer's room that could say anything better than, I'm better than everybody here, so you can all suck my ass. Fuck them. Anyway, Miz TV, throwaway segment. I don't care about what they're doing. Which takes us to the Viking Raiders versus the OC, which is really just War Machine versus the Bullet Club, if we're getting down to it. War Machine got the win. They aren't nearly as entertaining as they used to be, because they've been toned down way too much, it seems. And the Bullet Club is just fucking boring. Gallows is fucking boring to me. But I'm almost happy that they re-signed and are not going to AEW, because that means that that's one less spot where they jump in line in front of somebody like Private Party the Jurassic Express. And then we got Ricochet over Cesaro after Cesaro got on the mic and was talking some shit about Rey Mysterio and how he would love to have beaten Rey's son in front of him. I don't know what that's about. Apparently they got nothing for Cesaro with Sheamus being out right now. So he wants to attack Rey and he's trying to lay claim to main event status. Whatever, good for him. But Ricochet comes out and talks a bunch of shit, and Jesus Christ, I never realized how fucking white he sounded. Like almost Tiger Woods soundingly white.
I felt like I was really playing well today.
But anyways, Ricochet wins over Cesaro. Big fucking shock there, right? No, not at all. Next match, AJ Styles defeated Cedric Alexander, who they are continuing to bury. And I didn't really pay attention to that match. It ended with a Styles clash and a rollover for a pin, which just about every AJ Styles match did, so it was pretty boring as far as that goes. Lacey Evans defeated Natty Neidhart. That's all I have to tell you about that match. I didn't watch it. I don't care. And then we got Rollins and Rusev, which was not very entertaining. And it ended in a no contest. I didn't really catch why as I was watching it. But Raw storyline of the week was, oh, where's Lana, Rusev? What's going on in your marriage? So out comes Bobby Lashley, then comes Lana, and then they start sucking face because they both apparently have jungle fever now. And it was just unnecessary, and it's like, why do Rusev that way? Why do you have to embarrass him like that? There's so many people like, oh, go to AEW now. You pump the brakes there, Spanky. You can't just fucking walk out and go to the competition. It doesn't work that way.
Bye, Felicia.
But it was supposed to be a big night for Rusev. He had just become an American citizen that day, and he was getting a main event title shot. And it really just came down to fucking nothing. Fucking nothing. So let's jump forward to Friday Night Smackdown. Dear God, I can sum up my viewing experience as these 3 letters. Ugh. You want to talk about a turd in the punch bowl? It's the last show of the week. Don't you think you should have maybe fucking tried a little bit harder to make it better? It opens up with The Rock coming down to talk to Becky Lynch, who's being interrupted by Baron Corbin. And anyway, Rock and Becky Lynch are like high-fiving and fist-bumping and trading insults. And The Rock said that Baron Corbin looked like a discount Burger King on crack. That's a good one. And then Becky Lynch tried to call Corbin a super tough dude and got the crowd to chant STD. Then she made some poignant remark about how that one's going to stick around forever. I just cannot get enough opportunities to say, Becky Lynch, you fucking bore me. You were more interesting before you were the man. And basically, Seth Rollins, come rag. Oh! And then there was more Becky Lynch, lucky us. She teamed up with Charlotte Flair, and they went over Bayley and Sasha Banks in a match that I didn't pay attention to because I was like, this is fucking boring. And then I shut the TV off for, I don't know, maybe an hour. And in the process, I missed Rollins versus Nakamura. And I don't even remember how that one ended. Nobody cares. We got the big finale to the Kevin Owens and Shane O'Mac feud in the form of a great ladder match that I didn't see. Because you bored me so much in the first segment that I turned you off. There's your big debut on Fox. You should have been going for broke. You should have opened with the Shane O'Mac and Kevin Owens ladder match. Because there were some crazy spots. I read about the spots. They were risking life and limb on this one. Not, jumping off the Titantron or anything like that, but jumping off of tables through ladders and all kinds of fun shit. It sounded like the kind of match that if I want to watch, I will go back and watch if I missed it. Whereas Lynch and Flair versus Bayley and Banks, no. And Rollins versus Nakamura, no. I'd rather see Nakamura wrestle 90% of the rest of the roster. And Sami Zayn only got on TV for coming down to the ring with Nakamura, so what the fuck?
You got to be kidding me.
Point being, SmackDown from start to finish felt like a giant 2-hour-long misfire. The segments were in the wrong order. They threw in another Firefly Funhouse thing. I didn't pay attention to it because I'm bored shitless with that already. Every time I see The Fiend, I just think of Kane and See No Evil. That fucking horror movie they made for him. Yeah. They've turned Bray Wyatt into essentially a horror movie character who's not as interesting as the guy from Saw or Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers. He's just some dick in a mask with overdubbed arena speaker laughter. It's not haunting. It's not spooky. So, I mean, it's nice that Bray Wyatt's back on TV, but I kind of don't like the gimmick. It just seems like a one-trick pony. There was a tag match of Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, and Dolph Ziggler against Braun Strowman, The Miz, and Heavy Machinery. That probably would have been worth a watch. Strowman, Miz, and Heavy Machinery got the win. Good for them. I didn't see the match. I can't tell you how it was. I can only tell you that it sounds like I would be way more interested in watching that than either the Rock segment, the Lynch Flair Bayley Banks match, or the Rollins Nakamura match. And then there's another match I missed that I would not have wanted to see, and that's Roman Reigns and Eric Rowan. I could not give two shits less about these two gentlemen, so I'm simply going to skip talking about it anymore and get to the real meat and potatoes of SmackDown. Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston. World title match. Should have been the highlight of the night. It lasted 9 fucking seconds and consisted of Kofi jumping at Brock, Brock catching him haphazardly and giving him an F5, and then rolling him up for a pin. This infuriated me. I like Kofi as champion. He worked his way up there. It took him forever. And I gotta say, why make it a squash match? Why? You could have easily wrestled for 6 to 8 minutes and Brock just punished him and wore him down. That would have been understandable. This one move fucking finish, what are you, Goldberg now? This was Kofi, the champion. I would expect this shit if Brock was going up against, like Sami Zayn, or maybe Cedric Alexander, or Buddy Murphy, I don't know, guys like that. But not Kofi, because he's shown us time and time again how great he is, how resilient he is, what a master of offense he is on the fly, with all of his escapes from elimination in the Royal Rumble over the years. So I started a hashtag, Kofi deserved better. But once the match was over, out comes Rey Mysterio with UFC fighter Cain Velasquez, who many will know as the guy who beat Brock for the UFC heavyweight title in 2010. A match that never should have happened because Brock Lesnar never should have got the win over Shane Carwin. Brock was seeing stars, and the ref probably got the earpiece call like, don't fucking end the match. It can't end like this. It can't be over already. We got too much invested in Lesnar's name. But anyways, Velasquez comes down to the ring. Brock looks scared like he's seen a ghost. And it just seemed very forced because Brock's not scared of anybody. And then Velasquez got in the ring, and then he beat up on Brock a bit, and then Brock rolled out. And there was all this back and forth, will they fight, some more posturing that went on for most of the final 10 minutes of SmackDown, which should have been minutes relegated to the title match between Lesnar and Kofi Kingston. And it's just like, I don't know whether to say shame on Vince for the booking or shame on Fox for not seeing how that would be a colossal fucking waste of time. Because the only point of Lesnar Velasquez is apparently it's going to happen at the next WWE Crown Jewel overseas. Don't fucking shit on Kofi's title reign just so you can set up another match. It was an afterthought. It was just like the footnote to the stare down and all the bullshit. I mean, what's the point of celebrating Kofi's climbing of the mountain so much and for so long that it took him to get there if you're just simply, when he summits, going to kick him off the side after 1 or 2 title defenses? I mean, if you were going to have the title change hands, you probably should have kept the belt on Kofi a little bit longer and maybe have Orton come back one more time and win the title off him. It was insulting. More so about the fact that I wasted my time watching SmackDown. I fucking expected so much more, and I got shit on for my efforts. Final note on Friday Night SmackDown. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker were advertised as being there. They were not there. The Undertaker said in an interview that he was called and said you were not needed. So none of the three of them were there, and when the lights went on at the end of the show, the crowd got pissed and started chanting AEW. Good for them. Which brings me to AEW, which I have to let you know right now, I came home from karate and caught the last half an hour of, then I watched the replay to get everything else. Whereas NXT, I waited days later to watch. Because frankly, I'm more interested in what's going on Dynamite than I am on NXT. So I will always watch it the night of and watch NXT later. But that's just me. People might call me a mark for Cody and the Elite, but I want to make sure they get those ratings, and if I don't see NXT for a few weeks, boo fucking who. Anyways, I have one gripe about AEW Dynamite. They continually did these shots where they show the crowd reaction to the moves. But to do it, they changed cameras, which was asinine because you take your eyes off the action and you almost miss something. So they keep haphazardly going between crowd reactions and, oh shit, we got to get that move. Please, somebody in the fucking AV trucks, if you're going to show crowd reactions, do it picture-in-picture style. That way, you still get to see what the fuck is going on in the ring, and you can show that crowd reaction without almost missing something. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
And now on to the actual show. First match of the night, it's who it should have been. Cody came out to kick off the show, and why the fuck not? Because it was him and Tony Khan that got this going. So Cody deserves top billing, first eyes, and the applause and ovation that he got. He wrestled Sammy Guevara, who is calling himself the best ever, and they're playing this cocky young guy angle. I don't much care for it because, frankly, his athleticism should speak for itself. Cody won. It was a lot of great back and forth, a lot of what Randy Orton would call flippity-floppity matches out of Guevara, who had a great sequence at one point of trying a top rope moonsault, missing, then trying a standing moonsault, and then missing, then trying a front shooting star press from the mat onto Cody and actually landing it. That had to suck the wind out of him. It was a good match. Unfortunately, it was followed up by a rather lackluster MJF and Brandon Cutler match. I think it was booked short for time. If they're going to make Brandon Cutler be more than just a childhood friend of the Young Bucks, they need to give him longer matches. But MJF submitted him, and there's no shock there. But it just felt like if you blinked, you missed it. Maybe I had too much other stuff going on with kids in the background. But next, we got Riho versus Nyla Rose for the first ever crowning of the AEW Women's Championship, who the internet was fucking furious about the fact that Nyla Rose is transgender and you're going to have a guy dressing up as a girl be your women's champion. It's fucking bullshit. They took her jobs. Is basically how that sounds. I am not going to jump on that bandwagon. I'm very pro-trans and gay rights, and what Nyla Rose is doing is exceptional for that community and as a movement. She did not get the win, which is shocking. Riho, who is just 22 and been training since she was 9 apparently, and she's like half the size of Nyla Rose, put on a hell of a match, these two. There was one spot where Riho knocked Nyla off the apron to the floor. Nyla gets up. Riho goes to jump from the top rope to the outside. Nyla fucking catches her like deadlift style and then slams her. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised you did not get a hernia. Holy fucking shit. But it was a great match. It was way better than any of the female matches that I saw on either of the two big shows for WWE. And that was a great setup for the next match, Pac and Hangman Page. Another great match out of these two. I love this feud. I hope it keeps going. Once again, Pac gets the win, so he's on a bit of a streak here. I believe that's 4 in a row. We don't know what's going to happen next for Hangman because he loses the title match at All Out to Jericho, and then he loses this match, which was his first since that event. And they're saying wins and losses are going to mean something. Which, if I may digress for a moment, I almost think instead of the wins and losses, you know, with the 1-0 or 2-0-1, the third being a no contest or a DQ, I believe. They should almost do a point system like the NHL. And you have to have so many points in your last matches to earn a title shot. Because there's already people like, well, what the fuck's going to happen with Kenny Omega? He keeps losing. How's he going to be in the world title picture? What the fuck? So who knows? But at the next pay-per-view at Full Gear, we're going to get Cody versus Jericho for the title. I really hope Jericho keeps the title. I'd hate to see this initial reign end so early. Because Jericho's playing such a great fucking heel. But yeah, wins and losses. So speaking of wins and losses, here's our main event. And it was the best main event of the week, in my opinion. Jericho with Santana and Ortiz, formerly LAX from Impact Wrestling, going up against The Elite, which started off as a great match. Then out of nowhere, Moxley comes and interferes. He's back from the elbow bursitis and MRSA infection, and he knocks Kenny out of the ring, and they go fighting into the crowd and into the back, quote, VIP section, where it looks like they set up some TVs and some couches and a glass table next to a fucking janitor's closet. And Mox threw Kenny into the door a few times, then Kenny threw a glass table, and that was the last we saw of Mr. Omega that evening, really. So then that left the Young Bucks to fight undermanned against Jericho and Santana and Ortiz, who won the match, with Jericho finishing it with the ridiculous finisher, the Judas Effect, which I don't care for the spinning elbow. I'm more a fan of the Walls of Jericho or the Code Breaker, but whatever. After that match, Jericho and Santana and Ortiz, they're beating the Bucks down. Out comes Cody for the save. Then, who comes out? Sammy Guevara to kick him in the nuts. Then who comes out? Dustin Runnels. Then who fucking comes out? A debuting Jake Hager, a.k.a. Jack Swagger. And they're saying, there's Jack Hager. He's an undefeated MMA fighter. They don't acknowledge the Jack Swagger at all. That's good. That's fine. Give WWE a taste of their own medicine. Don't fucking acknowledge what people did there, just like they don't acknowledge what people did in other feds before they came to the E. But anyways, it was the villains standing victorious over the faces, and that was the end of Dynamite. Great show. Probably the best of the week. Razor-thin margin of difference. It's almost a dead heat tie between Dynamite and NXT. Here's the end of the show with me talking NXT. NXT was, without a doubt, by a mile, the best fucking WWE show of the week. It was solid. It gave us what we wanted in terms of a match in the beginning instead of talking. We got the title match between Adam Cole and Matt Riddle, and wow, those two fucking tore the house down. I'm surprised that they didn't get hurt because things were getting a little sloppy with Riddle tossing Adam Cole around. At one point, he suplexed Cole, and I thought he was going to fucking land on his neck and end up a cripple in a chair like Darren Drozdov. There's a name nobody said in a while, huh? Droz. After the match, though, what do we get? The re-debut of Finn Balor, who is coming back to NXT because he wants elite competition. Translation, they don't have anything for you on creative on the big two shows, which is a huge fucking disappointment. Because if it wasn't for Seth Rollins and that stupid fucking turnbuckle bomb onto the guardrail, ruining Finn Balor's Universal title reign right out of the gate, Seth screwed Finn big time. Balor deserved better. He never got back to the top on the two big shows. It's a fucking joke. And, it's nice to have Balor back because his athleticism will shine on NXT in ways that they won't give the opportunity to on Raw or SmackDown. So the big two shows is lost is his gain in a big way for us, the NXT faithful. But I have to say, that was too big of a moment to happen at Full Sail. And WWE is going to have to decide whether or not they're going to start touring NXT or somehow find a way to expand Full Sail, because to have only like 400 to 500 people there for this shit, this was like a 10 or 15,000 person crowd level moment when he came back. It was great. But then again, NXT is supposed to feel like the smaller homegrown show, right? So it did. That led to a great match between Mia Yim and Io Shirai in a battle of broads I'd like to pin.
Swing!
I had to look over my shoulder to see if my wife's in the laundry room listening. She's not. But I would totally bang the bejesus out of Io Shirai. I would like to dip in that soy sauce. And also Mia Yim. Yummy, yum, yum. Great match with these two. It's the first time they've really faced off in singles action. They've done a lot of matches with multiple participants. So we really got an excellent match that was almost as good as, if not equal, to Riho and Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's title. I mean, NXT fucking really, you want to talk about stepping up and making sure that you are dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and going all in, no pun intended, on your basically sweeps week level type premiere. Way better than Gargano versus Shane Thorne, which I guess I don't know Shane Thorne, but he basically looks like Jesse Pinkman made a baby with Will Ospreay. And it wasn't somebody that I was familiar with, so I didn't invest in it as much as I should have. through no fault of Gargano's, because he's always entertaining. I love Johnny Wrestling. I love NXT. It is my favorite brand. Nothing on Raw or SmackDown even comes close. But then we got the turd that was Shayna Baszler going over Candice LeRae for the NXT Women's title. And it wasn't a turd match because of their efforts. They put on a great fucking match. At one point, Candice LeRae went for 3 straight Topa Suicidas, and you thought she was going to, run the well dry, but she just kept going. It was spectacular, but she lost. And Baszler continues to look dominant, and also like her forehead is trying to grow away from her body. She seriously looks like a fucking female Frankenstein monster. It's disgusting, and I don't know how anybody could bang that bra with the lights on. I don't care if that's sexist or piggish. Ew, Shayna Baszler. Ew. This match was then followed up by Pete Dunne and Danny Burch. It was a great match. I don't really want to talk about that, though. I want to talk about what happened after the match. Punishment Martinez, now known as Damian Priest, terrible name change, came down and laid out Pete Dunne, and then he made some bow and arrow motion towards the Titantron that then showed his name in flames, Damian Archer. I think they're calling him the Archer of Evil. But basically, he can't decide if he wants to be Machete by his outfit or Green Arrow with his mannerisms. I mean, good for Martinez for making the money, but he really should have stuck with Ring of Honor. And definitely, if you were going to look at the careers of Dijak and Martinez, Martinez is definitely way better than Dijak. And they're both essentially like the same type of character, but Punishment Martinez all the way. The final match of the night. It was great. Undisputed Era.
Shout out to J-Rock and the Rock Pile.
They beat the Street Profits in a great match. I will take Private Party over Street Profits any day of the week because I'm sick of their whole party solo cup act. But Street Profits are a great tag team. I hope they never go to the big shows. The same thing for Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, formerly known as Red Dragon. I wish they had a cooler tag team name than just being Undisputed Era. I mean, that's their stable. They should have a tag team name too. But anyways, that match ended with Undisputed Era winning. At some point, Roderick Strong came to interfere and was laid out. Adam Cole came down to celebrate. And then he was walking back up the ramp, and out comes who? Tommaso Ciampa. Welcome the fuck back from the neck injury. I'm so glad he's there. He's one of my favorite things about NXT. And the crowd went nuts, and they knew every word of his entrance music theme song because it only has 4 words. No one will survive. Apparently, CFOs, I think that's the name of the people that make the entrance music for WWE now, they couldn't write an entire song. Anyways, Ciampa comes and stares down Adam Cole. Adam Cole's under siege. I think they should do a bunch of matches with Ciampa and Cole or Balor and Cole, but not all 3 of them together right out of the gate. I mean, that's ultimately where we want to go. And it's unfortunate that they have their takeovers, but there's not like some biggest takeover of the year the way there is a WrestleMania or Slammiversary or Wrestle Kingdom. But save that match. But all things look great in NXT right now. All things. But once again, like I said, is neck and neck pretty much between AEW Dynamite and NXT's premiere. Final thoughts. What is the point of Brock Lesnar attacking Rey Mysterio if all it's going to do is lead to him going up against Cain Velasquez instead of Mysterio? Because they're not like going to tag up. Brock doesn't have any allies. Unless Paul Heyman's going to put on a singlet and go out there and sweat himself into a heart attack. But it's just like, you bring in Cain Velasquez, it takes the heat off the fact that Mysterio wants revenge. Well, what the fuck? That makes it look like Mysterio's weak. Isn't the whole shtick about Rey Mysterio that it's always David versus Goliath and he finds a way to conquer people? He uses all his athleticism to get around their power moves. He wiggles out. He finds a way. But no, now you're just like, hey, I already can't beat you because I'm old and on the verge of retirement and I've had a bunch of injuries the last few years. So I brought in a guy from UFC for like one match who took your title almost a decade ago. And then you're going to put on that, oh my God, I just caught my parents' fucking scared face, Brock Lesnar. The whole thing seems contrived. And the fact that it happened on the back of Kofi Kingston's title reign.
Holy shit!
I don't know what WWE is doing, But you know what? Let Vince fuck up the big 2 shows and I'll continue to not watch them. And then let Triple H do everything with NXT without any interference from the boss, because he does a great job of booking that.
Roadhouse.
And that's going to do it for this BWO WrestleCast. Unfortunately, I didn't have anybody, and hopefully my voice didn't drown on so boringly that you turned it off. I'm hoping I highlighted some points that you were also pissed off about, and that made the listen all the more enjoyable. Interact with the show on Twitter at Blumpkin Show. That is at Blumpkin Show. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Blumpkin and friends. We are on iTunes and on Podbean at blumpkinshow.podbean.com. For comedic rap songs by yours truly, you can go to soundcloud.com/BlumpkinMusic or simply to YouTube and search Blumpkin Music. And if you're not sure how to spell that, BLUMPKIN. For similar shows on the same network, go to infirmary.org for Infirmary Media Podcasts. I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin. Good night.